Here comes the money. You're now listening to the Gambling with Gold podcast with Jason Gold. Presented by Champions Round.
What is going on? Welcome to Gambling with Gold, a special edition. We have a trade we have to talk about. T.J. Hockenson is now on the Minnesota Vikings. This is Joey Mauriello. Joey, what was your initial reaction when I told you about the trade?
Well, I texted you right now and I said, no fucking way. But this is pretty crazy. And I'm excited because the Vikings are clearly in win now mode.
Absolutely. They are in win now mode. The official trade going down, Minnesota Vikings acquire T.J. Hockenson. They acquire a 2023 fourth round pick and a 2024 conditional fourth round pick. The Detroit Lions on the way back get a 2023 second and a 2024 third. What do you think about the value for that deal for a guy who was drafted number 8 overall just 4 years ago?
All right. I am just going to come out and say it. I think the Vikings made out like bandits in this trade. They got another offensive weapon in win now mode. They have a great offense. I like Kirk Cousins. I like that system. And it's just another option that they could rely on. Give Jay Jettis a break, give Thielen a break. I kind of look at this, though, and I'm just saying Hockenson has had some crazy elite games this year. He's been wonderful in the Lions. He's had a 2-touchdown game, and you see flashes of that first-round pick. I don't know. I think the Vikings really won this trade.
It'll be interesting to see how Hockenson is utilized in that Minnesota offense. It should open up some more stuff for Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, and so on. And Hockenson's a pretty good blocker, one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL. So it only should help shore up this Minnesota Vikings offensive line and create more running room for Dalvin Cook and for Alexander Mattison. I think that overall for this season, there's no way to say that this is not a plus for the Minnesota Vikings, a team that really thinks that at 6-1, they can win this division, knock off the Green Bay Packers. Maybe there's a chance for them to sneak in a bye, get the 1 seed in the NFC, fully possible. They're only 1 game back or a half game back of the Eagles, depending on how you want to look at it, although they did lose to them, so there is the tiebreaker situation. That being said, there's a chance they can end up with this number 1 seed or at least number 2 and have home field for the first 2 games of the playoffs. I think it's smart for them to go for it. It'll be interesting to see how Kevin O'Connell goes ahead and utilizes T.J. Hockenson. I do think that it's probably going to take a little bit of time to incorporate him into the offense. Do you think it's enough time for Hockenson to come in and make that much of a difference, given that he's coming in at week 9?
I do. I really do. Hockenson is a great player, and he clearly makes a difference. I'm looking at his stats now. He's had a game with 80 yards, 48 yards, 179 yards, 38. Those are just some good games. There's not a lot of talent when it comes to the tight end position in the league nowadays. I would say there's 10 pretty solid ones. Hockenson is one of them. 100% is going to make a difference very quickly.
Yeah, I think that it'll be very interesting to see how Hockenson gets up to speed there, because it's going to take some time. It is a unique system. It is very different from what they're running with Detroit. But I think that Hockenson is a smart enough guy where he's going to come in, get it pretty quickly, get it done. He'll definitely help on the offensive line blocking immediately, and anything that he adds on top as a pass catcher at the very beginning will be a benefit. I think that we get to week 14, 15, 16, he starts coming into his own. I think that the Detroit Lions really underutilize this guy. Remember, number 8 overall pick in the NFL draft, and has shown big-time flashes of being a great tight end, a guy that I compare favorably to George Kittle in terms of his ability to block and catch the ball and make plays in space. I'm not saying that he's quite George Kittle, but I think that he's probably as close as you get in the NFL to that sort of skill set. I think he could be super successful here. And from the Lions side, do you think it's smart for them now to trade out and say, you know what, we're 1-6. We don't know if we're going to keep Dan Campbell. We just fired our defensive back coach for some reason. Probably should have been the defensive coordinator, except for Aaron Glenn and Dan Campbell are very tight. Do you think it's time for the Lions to just tear it down, restart again? This team wasn't built to win anyways. You might as well get rid of assets while you can.
Yeah, I know there was some hype going around the Lions this year. Their win prop was up, but 100% got to trade away these guys. Even a second-round pick and a third-round pick can make a difference for them. You can still find some unbelievable players. We've seen that the last couple of years. As for the trade, though, I'm a little surprised that the Vikings got 2 picks out of that. I think that's where the win in the trade comes from. That's wild that they got a 4th round and a 2024 conditional 4th round pick. That's just, I don't know. That's a win for the Vikings, definitely.
I'm definitely a little surprised given that they're only sending back a second and a third. Not saying that Hockenson's worth a first because he's probably not, but to give up a second and third and to give back 2 fourths, it's like you're moving up 2 rounds. And I understand you want to be within the top 100 picks in the NFL draft. That's where the value is, but you're still sending back fourths. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like that much value. I understand that they do have to pay Hockenson. He's on the 4th year of his deal. He's only going to get 1 more year on this deal before you're going to have to franchise him or give him a long-term contract. So maybe they don't want to deal with that situation. But still, at the end of the day, I don't think that you sucked as much value as you probably could have out of this deal. I also think it's interesting. This is the second time that the Vikings and the Lions have done a major deal in the first, 6 months of the Vikings' new GM's tenure and Brad Holmes, the Lions' tenure in his 2nd year. They also did the deal for Jameson Williams in the draft. So I don't know if these two just work together well. It's interesting to see this much action happen between NFC North opponents, though.
Yeah, definitely is. We're going to see how this plays out, but I don't know. I really like the Vikings now. Potential future bet being thrown on them now if there's still some value left in it. I'm curious how the line is also going to move after this trade.
Okay, so let's do a hot take on the way out. Got to pull one out of our hats right now. Hot take based on this T.J. Hockenson trade. Joey, what do you got?
You know what? I'm going to go with, it's not really a hot take, but I'm going to say Vikings finish in the 1st seed. They have all the tools. They're clearly clicking. They're 6-1, 7-1. I think the Vikings finish the 1st seed in the NFC and they surpass the Eagles.
Which means that their final record, if the Vikings end up with the number 1 seed and take out the Eagles, they're probably going to finish with a record of 14-3-ish, which means that they close the season at 8-2. Pretty strong. I'd like to see it.
And I also like the fact that they play Buffalo in 2 weeks because that's going to be a fun matchup. And I think the Vikings win that game. I think they smacked the Commanders this week, and then the week after that, Vikings beat Buffalo. The Vikings are the team to beat in the NFL right now, especially after this trade.
I think that the Irv Smith injury that happened for the Vikings may be, unfortunately for him, but maybe one of the most beneficial injuries in the history of that franchise for the fact that it spurred you on to go out and get a guy like T.J. Hockenson. That I have to imagine if they're dealing a 2nd and 3rd round pick, they want to sign him to a long-term deal. They believe this is the sort of guy that they can plug into their building and will be there for the next 5 years at least. So I would not be surprised to see them extend T.J. Hockenson in this offseason, and that Irv Smith injury turns into, surprisingly, a huge benefit to that organization in the long term. All right, that does it for our T.J. Hockenson breakdown. If we have any more NFL trades, we will be back shortly. Until then, Joey, thanks for joining me. Good luck on your bets this weekend. Also sneaky, Washington plus 3.5 this weekend against Minnesota. Might want to bet that now. I'm not sure that the Vikings are going to be ready for this game. Let's go. Taylor Heineke season. Dye your hair orange, Joey. It's coming.
There we go. Oh, yeah. Hey, I got to order that.
You got to order. All right. See you guys later.